Good evening, sir. Welcome. I again welcome you all for this webinar on Owls of India by Dr. Girish Jathar. And short introduction of Dr. Girish Jathar. He is Assistant Director at BNHS, uh, Climate Change and the Himalayan Program. And he has his PhD on forest owlet. And the further introduction, I'll let it to uh, Girish, sir. Before beginning, I would like to introduce BNHS to those who are not familiar with the organization. BNHS is one of the oldest organizations in India that is working on conservation of nature. And the picture that you see is our head office based at Kulaba, Mumbai. And next slide, please. So, and this is Conservation Education Center of BNHS, located at Goregaon, Mumbai. We sorry, we conduct educational activities here, like visits from various colleges, school visits, and other nature-related activities. And we also conduct certain courses related to wildlife, whose admissions are now in process. Next slide, please, sir. And these are the courses that we run. This leadership course in biodiversity conservation, basic course in ornithology, basic course in herpetology, basic course in butterfly studies, and lastly, field course in botany. So admissions for these courses are now underway. And if you want to know more about the courses and join the courses, please follow our social media platforms like on Instagram, on Facebook, and feel free to contact us anytime. And without a further ado, I would hand it over to Girish sir. Thank you, Girish sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sagar. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir.
Yeah. So I think we should start with the our subject. Unfortunately, I cannot get a feedback from you or a virtual feedback from you, but I assume that what I am talking is audible and clear. So let's start with the owls of India. So owls are really basically very different kind of birds other than the diurnal raptors. They have evolved differently. And if we see their evolution, so they date back around lakhs of years back. So we'll see what they give us and how interesting they are. And we will try to peek in their life. Okay, so what are owls? Owls are a group of nocturnal birds. They are active during the night time. Their prey is more or less similar to the diurnal birds. They are similar to diurnal birds in their behavior, in morphology, even in part some aspects of anatomy. And we can call them as ecological counterparts of the diurnal raptors. But now you see if the diurnal raptors and as well as owls, they have evolved differently, but the evolution or the phenomena is called as a convergence in biology. So they are different, but share similar morphology and behavioral patterns. So let's see how they have evolved. The evolution of owl goes back to 65 million years ago, and it's a really big time. If we see human beings, we are not older than 2 million years ago. So owls came much before human beings. So they came in the Cretaceous period. And the oldest known fossils which have been found in Colorado, they date back to 58 million years ago. So that's a really a very long time. And we can say they are much older and wiser than human beings. Yeah. So the owl which was found in Colorado was named as Ogigopteryx wetmori. So it was named after a scientist named Wetmore, and this owl was one of the biggest owl found till date. So this fossil owl was about 3.5 feet tall. You just imagine how big this owl could be and how much terror it could be giving to the its prey species. So I think maybe eating a small deer or that kind of animals. So it was so big. So if you see, more than 50 million years ago, some of the genus evolved during that time still exist, like bubo, like Indian eagle owl, or strix. We call them as wood owls. So they evolved about more than 50 million years ago. And even the fossil bird was a part of this strix or the wood owls. Okay, so that is interesting information about the owls. So we can say in a nutshell, owls are much older and much wiser than human beings. They evolved long back and they are still existing and still surviving. So how owls see? Because we see their eyes are placed in front of their their face. They have special eyes and they have, if you see, these are the bony plates or called as sclerotic rings. So their eyes are fixed here. So they cannot move their eyes. In to compensate that, what they do, they rotate their neck, and they can rotate their neck up to 270 degrees. So human beings can rotate their neck only 180 degrees, but the owls, they can rotate their neck up to 270 degrees. So most of the times we see the owl is facing in a different direction, but it can just rotate its neck and can look at us. So human beings can't do that. But this particular system has evolved because it's a nocturnal bird and it has to compensate his eye movements with the neck movement. So that's a very specialty of owl. No bird on this earth could do similar things, except some birds are there, but they are closely related to owls only. Yeah, night vision. So now night vision is another highly specialized thing, which is found in nightjars, in owls, and oilbirds. And there's some raptors also. They have a night vision, but owls are more specialized into that. Their retina is fully is densely packed with the rod cells. You may be knowing human beings or all the animals have a rods and cones in their eyes. If the rods are more, the animal is more likely to be a nocturnal. If the cones are more, then animal is likely to be more diurnal or active during day. Okay, so owls' eyes are full of rods, so they can see easily in the night time. But please keep in mind, if there is a pitch dark, the owl cannot see. Why? Because it needs minimum amount of light to see. So it can actually disperse its light on the retina and can see. If there is no light at all, the owl will not be able to see. So that's the specialty. But still, owl compensate night vision with its hearing capacity. So you see, this is a skull of owl, and you can see this part and this part. So the skull looks slightly deformed, but it's not deformity, it's the placing of ears. So owl has a one ear placed slightly above, and the other eardrum is slightly low. So that is why the hearing capacity is differential. So it actually hears, but it sees as well, because the sound coming from some certain direction, it assesses it the distance as well as the height of the uh, particular sound. So that is how it hears. So that is a very interesting phenomenon, and this phenomenon is only found in owls, no other bird. Now if you see the face of the owl, there are a lot of rings around its face. So these rings are sclerotic. These rings actually act as a funnel, and whichever sound is coming from whichever direction, if owl turns its face towards the sound, all the sound is collected and it is directed towards its ear. So that is why it has an acute sense of hearing. Even if you can try right now also. So if you put your hands behind your ear and just turn your ear a little, you can hear more clearly. A similar phenomenon is happening with the owl's face. So it can collect sound and redirect it to its ear. So that's why the owl's hearing is very acute. Let's see what other specialty it has. Now you see how owls fly. The flight of an owl is a soundless. If an owl flies over your head, you will not be able to hear it. If a crow flies or if any other pigeon flies, you can hear the pigeon is just passing away. But if owl flies over your head, you cannot hear anything because there is a reason. So there is a reason. If you see the feather diagram over here, the edge of the feather is like a comb. So if you take a comb and just flap that comb near your ear, you will hear a less sound. Or even you can try this right now. Just take your palm and just flap around your ear. You can hear it. But if you spread your fingers and flap, the amount of sound coming is less. So the same thing happens with the owl feathers. So this is a very specialized structure of feathers found only in owls, and that helps them to locate their play as well as chase their play and catch their prey. Yeah, this is very interesting about owl flights. Now the claws, if you see owl claws, they are like a parrot or parakeet. Most of you have seen a parakeet. So two claws are in the front and two claws are in the back. So these claws are called as a hexadactyl claws, and they provide a very powerful grip over their prey, and it is very good in handling the prey as well because it's a bird of prey, so it needs that. In cooler climate, if you see, the claws are covered by feathers because it needs insulation from the cold. And in tropics, if you see their legs, they are naked. So that is another interesting evolutionary significance about the owls, owl claws. Now let's see how they are distributed worldwide. If you see this map and if you see this red color, that indicates the owl has occupied this territory. So only places where owls are not there is a part of Greenland and Antarctica. Otherwise, owls are everywhere. And some remote oceanic islands, you won't get owls, but most of the world they have already conquered. That is what I would say. Ecosystems and habitats. Owls live in almost every type of ecosystem, right from deserts to tropical rainforest to the grasslands to Arctic tundra, as well as in urban areas as well. A snowy owl you see is a white in color, and it's a resident of subarctic region. And here is a barn owl. It is found in almost every city. So that is how the owls have distributed as well as occupied various niches. Now you see forests, forests, grasslands, deserts, Arctic tundra. So all these are places where owls have already occupied this niche. So there is no place in this world where owl is not there except the Antarctica, some real oceanic islands, and some part of Greenland. Now let's see which is the largest and which is the smallest owl. The largest owl in the world is Blackiston's fish owl, which is found mainly in Siberian region, and the elf owl, which is one of the smallest owl. So this is what for the world. And if you come to India and you see the largest and the smallest of Indian, the Eurasian eagle owl is the largest one, or you can call it as the Indian eagle owl also, and the collared owlet. It's the smallest one. The collared owlet is found in northeast and Himalayan foothills. A very interesting and very cute bird, very cute call it produces. This is about the largest and smallest of India. And let's see what they do. Food. What about their food? So all owls are carnivorous. They eat spiders, insects, as well as fish to mammals. So that is what they eat. So it's a wide range of food, and they use two strategies: sit and wait. So they wait for the particular prey species to come to them, or the owls, such as short-eared owl, they hunt while flying. They chase the animals in the grassland and they catch them. So owls have adopted these two kinds of feeding modalities. So that is about food and hunting and digestion of owls. So owls again and raptors have a different digestive system than the other birds. Owls cannot digest hair, fur, feathers, bone, or chitinous material. Their digestive system has acidic pH only 2.2 to 2.5. Hence, they regurgitate undigested food. So now see, owls eat whatever the food is, it goes to this proventriculus, it sits there, some digestion happens, then it goes down, and it travels through its digestive system. But whatever material which is not digested is kept here. And when the owl becomes hungry, so it regurgitates, it actually vomits whatever is undigested material. And that is very interesting thing, because from that we can find out which type of food the owl eats. So we'll see that in next slide. Now see, so the regurgitated pellets are like this. These like kind of a balls, and you can analyze them and find out which type of animals it has eaten. So this is a pellet of forest owlet. So I have analyzed this. So it eats some kind of arachnids, beetles, grasshoppers, skink, then rats, mouse, suncus means shrews, even the birds and some lizards. So from one pellet, you can find out a lot of information, and you can also monitor what is happening in its ecosystem. So if suppose some species like a rat is more in the food, that means that year the population of rat was quite high in that particular area. So this kind of inferences can be derived from pellet analysis, and very, very interesting phenomena and very interesting work to do. Now, like breeding of owls. So nest site fidelity. So now nest site fidelity means what? Nest site fidelity is the owl uses same nest year and year. We have observed one nest which is used by the forest owlet from 1997 to 2018. So same nest was used by owl. Maybe the pair may not be the same, but the tree was used for so many years. So that kind of very interesting information is available in America. There are some studies on owls, and the owls have used one nest almost for 50 years. So that is very interesting. Some pair for life means once they pair, the male and female come together, so they live for life. Most of them do like this, not all, but some owls do like this. Most of them nest in cavities, some nest on ground, some nest in burrows. So there is a burrowing owl in America, so they actually use the burrows dug by rodents. Some nests left by other birds, so they use eagle nest or the kite nest, so they use that also. So they are very opportunist. Wherever they get opportunity, wherever they get a suitable site, they do the nesting. uh, Very interesting thing about owls is male feeds the young and the female and takes care of, okay, male feeds the young as well as the female, and the female takes care of eggs and young. So there is a resource partitioning kind of a thing. So male's job is to provide food for the female and the chicks or the young ones, and the female job is to take care of eggs, take care of the nest, and take care of young ones. So that is how they have done the resource partitioning. Now, reverse sexual dimorphism is very interesting thing. In most of the owl species, males are smaller than females. So sometimes whenever you see two owls, if you see the smaller owl, that doesn't mean not necessarily is a chick of that owl or a young one of that owl. It could be a male of that species. So that is very interesting part about the owls. Now, how many species of owls in the world? So there are about 238 species of owls in the world, and they are divided into two families, Tytonidae and Strigidae. So these two families are the major branches of owls, the strigids, and we see what is in India. So in India there are 38 species of owls and 59 subspecies. So we don't go in the subspecies, but let's see which 38 species are found in India. We'll go one by one. What I will try to do, I have also recorded I also have a recordings of the calls of the owl. So wherever possible, wherever I have got, I will play it, so you will be able to listen the call of the owl. So let's start. Status of owls in India: 38 species, 34 birds, 34 species are resident, 4 owls are migratory, 7 are endemic. Of them, 5 are found in Andaman and Nicobar, and 2 are found on mainland India. 1 species is globally threatened, and 1 is near threatened. So this is about the status of owls in India. Let's see, barn owl. It's a cosmopolitan bird found all over the world. It occupies all urban and rural areas, almost all type of habitats. You won't believe the highest number of barn owls I have seen was in Mumbai. You may be knowing those people who live in Mumbai knows Mohammad Ali Road near Crawford Market. So once I visited there, because there was a problem with the barn owls, so I went there and I saw almost every building has 2 to 3 or 4 barn owls. So that dense is the population. So the density of birds was the barn owls was very high, and that could be only attributed to the availability of food, because there were a lot of rats and shrews. Because of that, the huge population of owl was there, and people were scared of the owls in that area. But that happens because owls are again connected by with the bad omen. That is why the problem is. But actually, they are doing a very good ecosystem service to human beings, which cannot be measured in the terms of money. Anyway, we should call them as a friend of farmer. People call snake as a friend of farmer, but I think owls are more friend than the snakes, because one individual controls cumulatively 4.5 lakh rodents per year. Now, if you want to do this math, it is like this: one barn owl actually eats at least 2 rodents per day. So if we calculate 365 into 2, that is 730, and suppose one pair of rodent produces around 1250 individuals. So 365 pairs into 1250, that makes 4,56,000 rodents. But if the owl eats 730 rodents in a year, then it actually controls the population of 4.5 lakh rodents or rats. So that's how the math works, and that's very interesting about barn owl. And now you see how many barn owls are owls. Most of them eat on rodents. So how much service they actually provide to human beings. Now this is the call of the barn owl. It's really loud and cranky. People don't like it, but it provides something to us without any cost. So we can tolerate these kind of sounds. Andaman barn owl. So this particular species is endemic to Andaman, and it is confined to Andaman and Nicobar Islands. I don't have the call of this bird, but it's very similar to the our regular barn owl. The color is slightly different, yellowish, more yellowish on the belly, and face is not that dark. Another interesting owl is the eastern grass owl, and it inhabits the tall grass, especially the grasslands of Tarai grasslands of Ganga basin as well as Brahmaputra basin. They are found in Himalayan Tarai, Gangetic plant, Assam, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, especially the Shola grasslands of Western Ghats. There are some unconfirmed records of them from Madhya Pradesh as well, but we don't know whether they still are there or not. Basically, this owl is also rare. It's smaller than the barn owl. It feeds mainly on rodents, insects, and small grassland birds. And now you see the scientific name is a Tyto longimembris. That means the owl with the long legs. So this is the eastern grass owl. Now, this is the oriental bay owl. This is another very interesting species from Tytonidae family. Bay owls are restricted to old world tropics. They are found in oriental region, and they are confined to the tropical areas, so tropical and subtropical area. They are forest dwelling, very shy and nocturnal, very difficult to see. Very few people have seen this bird. It mainly feeds on insects, small mammals, and birds, but they are specialized in hunting flower pickers. So if you go to Thattikad in or Kalkaramundan the top sleep area of Tamil Nadu, you can see this bird very easily. And if you could able to locate the pellets of the owl, in most of the pellets you will get flower picker. So this bird is a specialized flower picker hunter, and they hunt the flower pickers in the night because they find out where the flower pickers roost and just go there and catch them. But this bird has a very interesting call. I will play this call for you. You can
Hello,
hear the
Girish sir.
whistle. Hello.
Girish sir, we cannot hear the call.
I don't know how to do it now. I think we just skip the calls and go forward. Is that fine?
Yes, that is fine.
Hmm? Okay.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Now let's.
गिरीश
Yes,
वर
Raju.
वर वर बघा टॉपला व्ह्यू ऑप्शन्स आहे ना,
Ah,
तिथे तिथे तुम्ही क्लिक केलं तर तुम्हाला एक ड्रॉप डाऊन मेनू येईल. सो यू विल गेट
more.
शेअर कम्प्युटर ऑडिओ
Share computer audio.
ऑन द
Share
टॉप मिडल
top
you get a
middle.
drop down menu, so that's for calls.
Top middle is select camera video setting.
Yes, go down.
No, only these two things I can see.
Okay, then okay, leave it.
Audio setting is here.
uh
Should I go in audio setting?
yeah,
Audio setting, speaker, microphone.
yes, share computer audio should be there.
No, it's not here in my computer.
Okay, leave it.
Well, just a minute. I will see more. Invite record on this computer. Anyway, let's go further. Not to waste time. Now, another interesting species is Andaman scops owl, or it is called as Otus bulli. It's a resident of Andaman Island. It inhabits the cultivations, forest, and even human settlements. You see a pair of owl here, very interesting birds. Very few people have seen them. They feed mainly on caterpillars and other insects. Search food in parrot-like manner, like parakeet, how it walks on the tree in search of food. So similarly, these owls also walk on the tree in search of caterpillars or other insects. So that's very interesting behavior of these particular species of owl. Mountain scops owl, another interesting species. It found slightly at a higher altitude in Himalayas. Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, parts of J&K and Northeast India are the main places where this owl is found. They prefer the mountain forests, so that is why they are called as a mountain scops owl. They are insectivorous and occasionally feed on rodents and birds. If you go to Eagle Nest Wildlife Sanctuary, and if you are lucky, you will be able to see this bird. It's a very interesting species. Similarly, pallid scops owl. This is a migratory bird to India, and it mainly enters India from the run of Kutch in Gujarat. So most of the photographs, if you see for this bird, they are from Kutch region, and they come to the south up to Pune region of Maharashtra. And they are regularly seen, especially in Palghar district or Thane district. They are seen during the winters, and some people know the places also where this bird comes. This bird is also again prefers open type of habitat, but they can found in wooded areas as well. They basically feed on beetles, mole crickets, small rodents, and lizards. Unfortunately, I cannot play the call, but this bird has a very interesting call. Again, it's a migratory bird. There are records of this species from Mumbai city also. So a lot of times we get calls and people send photographs, and these birds have been found at Nepean Road or on the marine drives also. Now, Eurasian scops owl. This is another migratory bird to India. It also looks similar to the pallid scops owl, but the pallid scops owl is more gray in color, and this particular Eurasian scops owl is more brown in color. And the markings on their breast and belly are different. The stature is also different. This bird is also prefers a wooded area instead of a very dry or open habitats. They also feed on insects, invertebrates, and small rodents. And again, they have an interesting call. Unfortunately, I cannot play it here, but they come from Eurasian region of the world. They stay here almost for 4 to 5 months and again return to their breeding areas. Collared scops owl. Earlier, this bird was clubbed with the Indian scops owl. The collared scops owl is like an Indian scops owl only, but they are found in northeast region and eastern Himalayan region, or I would say more of a Himalayan forest. They prefer the forest of oak, pine, deodar, and sal, but if you go to Assam or some other northeast states, you can find these birds in near human settlements as well as in farms. So the birds are there and very interesting. They have a different call than our Indian scops owl. They feed on insects, lizards, and rodents. And this is a very common bird. We all see this bird in Indian forests, especially in peninsular India. They live in nest cavities. You can see there are a lot of trees which are known for their nesting, and you can see one or two or maybe sometimes 4 5 individuals in one nest. So most of the times these are families. And this bird is again a very nocturnal bird. You can see its eyes. If the eyes are dark, in case of owls, if the eyes are dark, then there are high chances that these birds are nocturnal, pure nocturnal birds. If the eyes have some yellow, some amount of yellow, then they are crepuscular, or they are active during dusk and dawn time and the night time. This owl also feeds on insects, occasionally feeds on vertebrates. Mainly found in forest and secondary woodlands near cultivations. Very common bird in central Indian forests. Now this is Oriental scops owl, which is a little different from the Indian scops owl. So very cute bird. This particular bird is having a rufous mouth. So there are two mouths, the gray or brown mouth and or rufous mouth. So this bird is having a rufous mouth. You can see two subspecies of this bird. One is north of Narmada River and one is south of Narmada River. Basically, they are found in central India, western Ghats, eastern Ghats, parts of Himalaya, and they prefer open or semi-open woodlands, forest edges, insectivorous. They hunt both from perch as well as in the air. Like they catch the insects like a flycatchers. So I have seen many times these birds in the dusk time. They actually prey upon, or they just fly over the insects, catch them in their legs, and then come back to the perch and feed on them. So that's very interesting. There's a small owl. No, similar to this is a Nicobar scops owl. Very, very rare owl. Very few people have seen this owl. It's only found on Great Nicobar and Central Nicobar Islands, confined to the Nicobars. Very recently, it was described in 1998 by Dr. Pamela Rasmussen, and it was named after Humayun Abdulali, who was one of the greatest bird taxonomists of India. He's a great ornithologist, and he was a cousin of Dr. Salim Ali. He was also our president for some time, the NHS president, honorary secretary as well. So this particular owl is found in coastal forest of Nicobars, coastal mangrove forests. Very little is known about the food and feeding habitat. Now this bird is considered as a near threatened now, but it still is endemic species and have a little data on the species. Some work is required to be done on this particular species. Eurasian eagle owl. Now, earlier this
प्रत्येक
was,
owl बद्दल 2-2 मिनिट सांगत आहे. हा?
so this is Eurasian eagle owl. Again, Eurasian eagle owl and Indian eagle owl were earlier clubbed, but now they are separate. Eurasian eagle owl is found at a higher altitude, 1800 to 4500 meters, especially Ladakh, Laos, Spiti, Sikkim. These are the areas where you can find this owl. They feed mainly on the large rodents, hares, pheasants, ducks, pigeons. So these are the prey species of this owl. It's the biggest, quite big owl from India, or the biggest owl in India. Similarly, you get a Indian eagle owl, which is found, except the range of the Eurasian eagle owl, they are found from the foothills of Himalaya to Kanyakumari region, all over India in various habitats, known as also terror bird. In central India, it is also called as a Devdakin. And this bird has a lot of myths around it. I can share later about some stories of this bird. They also feed mainly on the rodents, big birds, lizards, snakes, big insects. So all these animals are comprised of his food. Tusky eagle owl, another rarely seen owl, but this is also found especially near well-watered areas, near wetlands. So in Bharatpur, you can see this bird very easily. And this is the only owl which nests in the abandoned nests of other birds like eagles or maybe storks. So they nest there. They don't nest in cavities. So that is interesting part about this bird. They feed on rodents, big birds, lizards, frogs, fish. So it's a varied diet. Big owl. And this is very interesting owl. This is forest eagle owl or spot-billed eagle owl. It is found in Himalayas, Satpuras, and Western Ghats. It's a dense evergreen forest, moist deciduous forest is its habitat. It feeds on pheasants, hares, fawn of deer, lizards, snakes, also known as devil bird. Unfortunately, I cannot play the call. Otherwise, it has a really terrible call. And if you listen or hear this call in the middle of the night in the forest, then you will really feel the terror of the call. Really, very, very interesting bird. And my favorite birds as well. Brown fish owl, again, if you see the legs of this owl, they are similar to other big owls. The legs are naked because they are specialized hunting in fish and crabs. That is why, and they have to handle that slippery fishes and dangerous crabs. That is why they have evolved differently. So their legs, if you see this particular location, they are naked. They don't have feathers on this. And they extensively feed on fish, frogs, crabs, and sometimes take reptiles and rodents. But that's very interesting part about them. Brown fish owl. Similarly, we have two more species, buffy fish owl and tawny fish owl, which are found in northeast and Himalayan foothills, but rarely seen species. Mottled wood owl, again, endemic bird species, only found in Indian subcontinent, but I would say rather Indian subcontinent part of India. Earlier it was known from Pakistan, but now there is no trace of this bird in Pakistan. But some parts of Nepal you can still find them. But they prefer more of a dry area than the moist areas. They live in woodlands. Sometimes you can see them in cities as well, but they prefer living on the forest edges and cultivations. Again, feed on rodents, birds, lizards. Very interesting call. Brown wood owl, which is I would say more of a less sympatric species with the mottled wood owls. They are also found in northeast India, western and eastern Ghats, Satpura region, but they prefer more of a moist kind of a forest. They inhabit in dense evergreen, moist deciduous forest, prefer area near streams. So that is what the specialty of brown wood owl. Also feeds on the same thing which mottled wood owl feeds on. Himalayan wood owl. If you go high up in the Himalayas, the brown wood owl, niche of brown wood owl is occupied by Himalayan wood owl or Himalayan owl. And this is very interesting, rare species. Can found in northeast India, some part of Himachal, Kumaon, Garhwal. But very interesting species to see. Himalayan forest, but at a higher altitude, more than 1500 meters altitude, you can find this bird. Mainly feeds on rodent, and interestingly this is the only owl from India which survives in the snow, apart from the little owl, but this particular owl survives in the snow as well. Collared owlet, the smallest owl of India, and if you see the back of its head, so there are two black spots, they look like eyes. Being a small owl, it has a predators, so to check on the predators or to shoo them off, this owl have evolved with spots like this. So it cannot be attacked from behind. One of the smallest owl is again a diurnal, mainly feeds on insects and inhabits open forest, oak, rhododendron, deodar. So even it feeds on small birds, and whenever this owl is sitting somewhere, all these small birds keep mobbing it. So that's very interesting part about this collared owlet. Similarly, we have an Asian barred owlet. It is again distributed in northeastern India, not found in peninsular India. Very interesting species, similar to our jungle owlet. This is our jungle owlet. It's distributed all over India except the foothills of Himalayas and northeastern states at higher elevation, but there is some overlap of jungle owlet and Asian barred owlet. Well-wooded country, it prefers vegetation cover. It also prefers areas near streams, especially feeds on beetles. I have analyzed its pellets, and 80% of its food was full of beetles. So that is very interesting part of it. Boreal owl. So there are there is single record of this species from Spiti, Himachal Pradesh, but this bird must be there in India. We need to do more research on this. Boreal owl, little owl, which is found in Sikkim, Ladakh region at high altitude, 3,000 to 4,000 meters. It's a cold desert. This area is a cold desert. Very little snow is there. It lives in open rocky areas near human settlements. Feeds especially on insects and rodents. And very few people have seen this bird. Spotted owlet, everyone has seen. The name, scientific name itself tells Athene Brahma. Athene is a goddess of wisdom, and Brahma is it's a generic name given. Uh, One of the most widely distributed species in South and Middle East Asia, found everywhere, generally found in urban and rural environments, near crop fields, periphery of human habitations. They have the territories overlap with other owls also, but it's a very interesting species, and well-studied species as well. Exclusively feeds on insects and rodents. So actually we should call this bird as a real friend of farmer because it feeds on insects as well along with the rodents. This is the bird on which I did my work. It is earlier we thought the bird is confined or endemic to central India, but now we have found that they are found in northern Western Ghats as well. They prefer the dry deciduous forests, feed exclusively on rodents, reptiles, birds, and insects. Again, this bird is a diurnal and crepuscular. I can talk hours about this bird, but maybe sometime later. So this bird has a very interesting thing because it was rediscovered in 1997. It was thought to be extinct. Dr. Pamela Rasmussen came here. She worked on this species. Then BNHS carried out studies on this bird, and now we came to know that this bird is earlier it was critically endangered, but now we found out that the population of this bird is more, as well as the extent of its occurrence is also more. Earlier we thought it is confined to Satpura, but now we found that they are found in northern Western Ghats as well. That is why now this bird is downlisted from critically endangered to endangered. We'll go to next bird. It's a very interesting bird. Brown hawk owl. Again, this bird is found throughout India in forested areas, prefers area near streams, exclusively feeds on insects, small birds, bats. It is also called as a bat killer. It feeds on the smaller bats, insectivorous bats, and I have seen them catching the bat in midair. That phenomena happened in WI. I went to Wildlife Institute of India in Dehradun, and we were watching this bird, and it was feeding on the bat. So we kept watch on it, and one evening we saw it sailing and trying to catch the bats. So that's very interesting. So it's a bat killer. Very interesting sound it has. Similarly, this is Andaman hawk owl, endemic to Andaman Island. The Hume's hawk owl, again found on Andaman and Nicobar Island. They look similar, but if you see, they have a slightly different things. The belly of the Hume's hawk owl is black as compared to the Andaman hawk owl. These also especially feeds on bats and swifts. They actually roost near the caves where they get swiftlets, not Indian, the edible nest swiftlets and bats. So they actually roost near the caves, and in the evening when the swifts and bats come out of the caves, they just pounce on them and catch them. Short-eared owl, another very interesting species. This is a migratory owl, visited India during winter. It is a resident of open grasslands and scrublands. It exclusively feeds on small mammals birds. I did carried out the pellet analysis of this bird from Maharashtra, Akola region, and found very interesting things. We found around 4 different birds eaten by the short-eared owl, and they are very territorial. When we were studying this bird, it actually attacked on us at least 3 or 4 times. So they are very territorial and keep their territory, defend their territory very fiercely. Very interesting species. Long-eared owl, like a short-eared owl, we have a long-eared owl. It's again a migratory bird. It's mainly occupied in northern part of the country. Again, open grasslands, scrublands, same food which short-eared owl eats, but rarely seen bird. Now, why owls are so important to us? Say, it's a friend of a farmer. One barn owl, I already spoke about it, 1,000 mice in year and about 4.5 lakh rodents they keep control on. The smaller owl feasts on insects, so they should be ideal for friend as a farmer. They should be given a title friend of a farmer. Again, they are one of the top predators in the food chain and balances intricate web of diversity. Their habitats are sink for carbon and storage of subsurface water. So that is why we should actually protect the owls, conserve them. If we conserve their habitat, we will secure our ecosystem services, especially the water as well as carbon, which we are emitting out of proportion in the atmosphere. But if we save the owls and save their habitats, we can arrest that particular aspect and mitigate for the climate change threats. Habitat destruction is one of the major threat to the owls. Then pesticides and rodenticides, because owls mainly feed on insects and rodents. If we indiscriminately use the pesticides and rodenticides, then they are going to hurt the owls. Because it is happening with the bird of prey raptors. The same is happening with the owls, but nobody is paying attention to that aspect. Like direct persecution or hunting, people are killing the owls, considering them as a bad omen. Some people kill them as a good omen as well. I will go to that particular aspect in later slides. They are hunted in some areas and they are used in trade. Climate change is again one of the factors affecting them. And myths and misconceptions, those are widespread in India. You take any region of India and you will find some myths and misconception about owls. Habitat destruction, you see, habitat destruction, cutting, lopping for commercial wood harvest, grazing, forest fires and roads, all these are causing habitat destruction. Pesticide and rodenticide, we have already talked about it. So these are really dangerous for them. Owls in trade, if you see this particular report, you will see what is the extent of owl trade. You may think that the owls are not traded as parakeets or manas or munias, but they are extensively traded commodity. And there is a special report on this. You can search this report and you can get a PDF of it and read it. It's a really pathetic situation for owls that they are not able to what I would say, people are not protecting them, and if this continues, their population is going to dwindle, and they may go extinct. So my personal observation is from Nandurbar region of Maharashtra. When I was studying there, there was no big owl in particular section. So there is a place named Taloda. I went there and spoke to people, and I could not find a big owl. And then I again investigated. I came to know that all big owls were caught by the people and sold in the market, and those owls were fetching good money. That is why they were sold, and they were sold for the purpose of sacrifice. So on the night of Diwali, these particular big owls, particularly big owls, are sacrificed because they are considered vehicle of goddess Lakshmi. And if you don't want your wealth to go out of your home, then you just kill the vehicle of goddess Lakshmi. So whatever the wealth is there, it will remain in our home. So that is what the misunderstanding is and misconception, and that is leading to the persecution of owls. It's a very dangerous thing. Myths, misconceptions, superstitions, every corner of the world, you say, there are myths and misconceptions, superstitions about owls. How can we protect them? Education and awareness program like BNHS is doing with CEC. We need to do a large scale education and awareness program so that people are aware and they stop killing owls, they stop destroying their habitats. We should promote owl as a symbol of deity. Uh, it is already vehicle of goddess Lakshmi. In Bengali language, it is called as a Loki Pecha. That means Pecha means owl, Loki means Lakshmi. So it's a symbol of deity, the vehicle of goddess Lakshmi. So we need to protect them. And why it is called so? When I investigated that matter, I came to know that especially the barn owl, it feeds on rodents, and rodent feeds on the grains, or especially the rice and the other kinds of grains. So in the old times, people were considering this as a protector of their well because they were eating rodents. So that is why Loki Pecha name has emerged. Again, there should be some restriction on use of pesticides and rodenticides. We should involve local people, especially the areas where there are threatened species, endemic species. We should involve local people for protection of habitat and nesting sites. This is because this is very important aspect of survival of the species, and we need to do that. Then again, for those people who are protecting the habitat, we need to strengthen their livelihood through various activities. And one of the activities could be ecotourism. So I have a request to the people, especially from Mumbai region. Most of them go to Tansa Wildlife Sanctuary to see the owls. There are around 13 species of owls in Tansa Wildlife Sanctuary. You should involve the local youths. We have trained some local youths over there. You should take them as a guide. If you take them as a guide, they will get some livelihood, and if they get livelihood, they will protect the habitat, and the community will protect the habitat, and it will help the owl. So this is how the model will work. But strengthening livelihood of local people is very important. Unless and until we do that, they won't protect the habitat. If they don't protect the habitat, we won't see the owls. Now this is owls in Indian culture and tradition. West Bengal, I already spoke about it. The Loki Pecha. Loki Pecha is a vehicle of goddess Lakshmi, and that is why we should protect the owls. And actually, we should worship the owls. So if we worship the owl, then it will help us in different ways, and it will help the ecosystem. It will help reviving the ecosystem services. In that sense, we will get a stable kind of a life, or we can get all the ecosystem services which we require for our survival. So that was what my message was, and I acknowledge these things. Oriental bird images, Zenocanto for calls, and handbook of the birds of the world, because I got all this compiled information from this. Then Global Owl Project, BirdLife International, and a lot of anonymous photographers and sound recordists from where I downloaded Oriental bird image. I downloaded the images as well as the calls. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. Now I can take questions.